Good morning, it's Dr. James. Hey, I hope this message finds you and your loved ones peaceful, thriving, and well. And there's a pretty good chance I may get trolled, maybe get trolled a lot for this message today. I want to talk about something called moderate delusional optimism. Now, when you hear that, does it sound a little bit crazy? Even the word optimism these days, oh my gosh, that can get people thinking like, where are you living? Where are you coming from? What are you looking at? Well, there's a lot of good things to be looking at in relationship to this science that speaks to moderate delusional optimism. In fact, the Mayo Clinic has been looking at sort of a personality, a predisposition, an emotional way that we look at life, how we look at ourselves, and how we carry ourselves, regardless of what's going on around us. Now, that doesn't mean that we're blind or insensitive or just completely disconnected from what's going on all around us. And I can assure you, I am very, very much aware of what's happening around me. And that can either overwhelm us, it can overtake us, or it can encourage us to build something higher, better, stronger, delusionally optimistic. Now, let me unpack this for you, because what they're basing this on is research around how when we are spending a lot of our time in judgment, pessimism, not enoughness, which is very, very easy to spend time in that. And I am absolutely connected to how in mental health and emotional well-being, and certainly my experience, because I've had deep and dark challenges there, this whole idea even actually helps me to be a little bit more on my mental game and how I can actually help myself to play better with myself. And you know, it's interesting because when they look at this experience from a physiological standpoint, when Mayo was doing this research, they said how moderate delusional optimism is actually anti-inflammatory. But let's be very clear, it's not being in denial, it's not being disconnected from what's happening in the world. It's actually being in response to what's happening in the world. One of my most favorite and daily spiritual practices is something I call contrast. So I think for a lot of us these days, we look out in the world and we see a ton of contrasts to how we would love to be seeing the world right now, how we'd love to be seeing, oh my gosh, even a slightest inkling of common humanity showing up in the global scale. And we think to ourselves, gosh, it's so easy to get overwhelmed in pessimism and feeling like it's just getting darker and darker. And that may very well be the case. I'm not denying that, and I'm not suggesting that may not be happening right now. But what I am suggesting is that when physiologically we connect more and more to darkness, or allow ourselves to go more and more dark, and how that affects us systemically on a physiological level, it creates systemic inflammation, which increases certain hormones and certain biomarkers for aging, depression, disease, decline, and early mortality. That's how a pessimism and systemic overwhelm can take us in places that we never would want to go. But here's the difference. In contrast, we get a chance to say, okay, that is not working for me. That scares me. That makes me sad. So in a reference point to what is happening out there, we have to go deep inside of ourselves and ask ourselves questions such as, what would it look like if I was to stand for the opposite? What would it look like if I was not to necessarily judge that as being bad, but an opportunity for me to reflect good? And doing it in the most micro, beautiful, incremental ways. Micro, beautiful, incremental ways. And that is what the Mayo people describe as moderate delusional optimism. It's saying that we get an opportunity to move our own personal emotional needle. We do it in subtle ways. We decide we're going to do 1, 2, or 3 things with all of our heart, with deep connection, with absolute presence. The simple things. Making eye contact with a stranger. Being present with someone that you love. Taking your mind and your heart and your body out in the woods for a quick walk just to get your parasympathetic nervous system back into peace. And being wonderfully awake to why you do it and how you do it. And when you come back, giving yourself a beautiful congratulations for following through on your good intention. All of those things help to augment a sense of optimism. And on some levels, even a moderate delusional one, because we give ourselves permission to not see what's happening out there, to overtake and overwhelm us, to actually go within and see what we can be in response to that. That contrast. While it's dark, we're light. Where there's hate, we're love. Where there's disconnect, we're fully connected. That's moderate delusional optimism. Yes, it's physiologically awesome and vitality giving. And I do believe on a spiritual level, it's absolutely emotionally contagious. And on a spiritual level, it literally becomes a leadership tool to give others the opportunity to see what love and light looks like in contrast to what we're all laying eyes on today. We can be overwhelmed and we can be overtaken, or we can raise ourselves up to another evolution to create a revolution within. Fighting inflammation, yes, awesome. Being a revolution, so much more so. So with that, much love, every blessing. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.